Zangpo and welcome to Bhutan This Week. I'm Zongda. In this week's top stories, His Majesty grants audience to the Zongdas and Gups who are in the capital to attend the annual Zongda and Gup conference. Cervical cancer becomes a growing health concern as the number of cases rise steadily. And people of Laya hopes for a better future as road construction to the Geok begins. His Majesty the King granted an audience to the 6th batch of Desups last Sunday. 125 teachers underwent the Desung training from 21st January to 2nd February.
His Majesty the King told the Desups that the Desung training program was initiated as a result of repeated requests from graduates who wanted to serve the country in times of difficulty and spread the spirit of volunteerism to help one another in times of need. His Majesty told the Desups that the name Desung was chosen because Desups are the guardians of the nation's peace and well-being. His Majesty told the Desups that as teachers, they must ensure that every single student who passed through their classroom was set on the right path to a bright future. His Majesty said teaching is a duty that the teachers cannot fulfill unless they love their job truly.
You have to love your job. So no matter what happens when you go to that classroom, you're happy. I love my job. It doesn't matter whether I'm in Lunana, whether I'm in the middle of the forest, whether I'm fed, whether I'm not fed, no matter what people say, because I believe in what I do. I see it as being a calling in life, and I love every single moment of my work. The wudubi se mil. Namra berura, trobalip churusunse, dau lo love, setechip deve begorura, ngara samzobesa. Tane boda lubera beru chore tepe deve nosum tanshigol.
His Majesty the King said that he had complete faith in teachers. His Majesty also said teachers who join Desung have the opportunity to transfer whatever they have learned to their students and to inspire them to join Desung in future. That they can instill in them a sense of responsibility for the welfare of the country and a desire to serve. His Majesty urged the youth to participate in the upcoming elections. Bhutan must ensure that the second elections are more successful than the first in 2008.
We're very lucky because we have Duge Jiba. Very lucky because the manner in which things were done in Bhutan was different. Look at the way we introduced democracy. Look at the cohesion that exists in our society. Look at the way we've been able to preserve our culture and traditions. And look at the way we're preparing for the future. So, aneboda ngacharana dulumbalu lejimbe tawachindi kewa designsa. Kaara lejimbe jodol. Irura semi-enimiol. Don't take it for granted.
His Majesty said the problems that we see in other countries must never be ours. In some countries, people have lost faith in the system. There is a voter apathy because politicians are perceived to be corrupt with widespread nepotism, lack of good governance and growing disparity. Pema Suki for BBS News.
His Majesty the King also granted audience to the Zongdas and Gups on Tuesday. The Zongdas and Gups were in the capital to attend the annual Zongda and Gup conference. His Majesty emphasized on the importance of people's participation in the upcoming elections and said the Gups will have to ensure that the elections do not create divisions among the people and the communities continue to live together in harmony. His Majesty said Bhutanese are lucky to be born in the country where the lives of the people have improved vastly in just a few decades and where there is peace, security and prosperity. However, His Majesty said people should never take this for granted. His Majesty also asked the Gups to convey to the people His Majesty's happiness and appreciation for the manner in which they have been serving the country. Next to stomach cancer, cervical cancer is one of the common cancers in the country. And cervical cancer has become a growing health concern in the recent years. Ministry of Health's data shows that number of cervical cancer cases is increasing yearly. From 90 in 2009, the figure increased to over 100 in 2010.
According to the health officials, the increase is due to better diagnostic facilities and changing lifestyles of the people. It is only women who are susceptible to cervical cancer. Meet Phubzam, a cervical cancer patient. She is from Ongdiphodrang. Today she is at Memorial Chorten to observe the World Cancer Day. She was diagnosed with the cancer some 5 years ago. She experienced occasional bleeding and slight pain in the abdomen.
There was slight pain in the stomach and also bleeding. Then I went to Bajo Hospital and the doctor gave me medicines. I took medicines for 2 weeks, but it did not cure the disease. Then I went to another doctor and he gave me UTI medicines. That was of no help.
So, in 2008, Phubzam came to National Referral Hospital in Thimphu to treat the cervical cancer. Since she had to undergo radiation treatment, she was referred to Kolkata. Doctors say the treatment was successful, but she still suffers from uterus enlargement. To prevent cervical cancer, the Ministry of Health launched nationwide HPV vaccination in 2010. Pap smear test is another measure undertaken by the ministry. It is mostly the patients with cancer who are being referred outside the country.
Off the top of my head, it's very difficult to actually put a cost, but you have to keep in mind that any referral outside for any disease is very expensive for us. And we actually spend quite a bit of our budget on patient referral outside. Now, most of the referral outsides are for cancer.
Other than cervical cancer, breast and ovarian cancers are also on the rise. Pamal Harden for BBS News.
Bhutan has been nominated to be on the World Heritage List since March 2012. To be on the list, however, Bhutan has to submit an inventory or a catalogue that provide a forecast of the most important cultural and natural heritage structures in the country within the next 5 to 10 years. In the build-up to the inventory, the Ministry of Home and Cultural Affairs has identified the Bhutanese Heritage Building as one on its list, and a high-level meeting on the authenticity of Bhutanese heritage buildings was held in Thimphu last Friday.
In an attempt to restore the authentic Bhutanese heritage building, Bhutanese have been asked to construct buildings that resemble those of Bhutan's ancient architecture. The Home Minister Mijudoji said a committee has been formed specially to make sure that those constructing houses follow Bhutan's old architectural style.
The meeting is conducted to conserve the Bhutanese heritage building. Our culture and tradition has been preserved by the older generation, is still alive, but due to development and changes with time, our tradition is being threatened.
And I focus on the first two in my presentation.
Bhutan has invited 4 international experts to talk on the conservation of Bhutanese heritage building. One of the experts, the president of ICOMOS in France, spoke to BBS. ICOMOS stands for International Council on Monuments and Sites.
I think you are in a certain way in a privileged position because Bhutan can learn from the many mistakes that have been made elsewhere and avoid them. In addition, you also have a situation where you have an enormous amount of cultural heritage still existing. Many countries awake to the need for heritage conservation too late, when their heritage is already largely lost. And that's not the case here in Bhutan. You have lost very little heritage. And you also have a cultural tradition, intangible cultural traditions that give meaning to this heritage. So you have all the elements in place for an incredibly successful adventure in preserving your heritage.
The meeting did stress that conservation methods should, however, not freeze the lifestyle of the people.
Department of Culture looks after the old buildings in the country. We efficiently look after the old buildings including the Lakangs and Zongs. We don't assign any contractors to look after these buildings, but instead, Department of Culture personally supports this conservation.
The participants are looking at upgrading the authentic Bhutanese heritage building without losing the Bhutanese spiritual and cultural touch. Compiled for Pema Suki for BBS News.
At the annual Zongda conference held at the Convention Center in the capital on Tuesday, Prime Minister Jigme Waitile called on the Zongdas to review and reflect on their responsibility as the Dzongkhag Chief Election Coordinator in the next few months.
Delivering a keynote address at the 28th Annual Zongda Conference in Thimphu today, Lenchen said Zongdas must consult among themselves and with local leaders on ways to ensure peace and stability so that communities are not disturbed by political forces and divisive motives. Lenchen and the cabinet ministers praised and thanked Zongdas from all 20 districts for their endeavors to complete Bhutan's biggest and ambitious 10th five-year plan. Lenchen said this year marked the completion of the 10th five-year plan and the end of term of the first democratically elected government. Lenchen urged the Zongdas to remember, while reviewing and proposing activities, that they must strive and improve rural life and ensure equitable growth of the Gyoks. The one-day conference was organized by the Department of Local Governance under the Ministry of Home and Culture Affairs. Cabinet ministers and other high-level government officials attended the conference. Karman Singh, BBS News.
Laya is one of the remotest villages in the country. With a population of just over 1,000, it remained almost isolated for years now. But finally, it opens to the outside world. Construction of road to Laya began last month, and people are excited about the road coming to their villages.
The lives of people of Laya are going to change sooner or later. Pitching tents and spending nights along the way would be a thing of past. At the moment, it takes 2 days to reach Laya from Gaza. A 26 kilometers road till Tonchidra is under construction, and lives will now only have to walk for about 2 hours from Tonchidra.
I'm very happy. Road is all we wanted, and we are getting it.
It will be very easy to transport anything. We can take it in large amounts.
After the completion of the road, we will not be carrying rations on our backs. It is the beginning of a comfortable life.
I hope to see some development in the village. Young and old who have never traveled outside Laya will be able to see other places besides Laya.
It is funded by Small Development Project, Government of India.
We got a budget of 30 million nultram for road and 8 million nultram to construct 3 bridges during the fiscal year 2011-2012.
The route is expected to reach Laya by 2015. Compiled for Kinzangtile, Pematsuki for BBS News.
Once flourishing timber business in the country has today become a sinking venture. The sawmill owners in Paro shares the same fate. Most of them are blaming the suspension of housing loan for the decline in the business. Piles of timbers can be seen lying unsold at the sawmills in Paro. Owners say the timber have been lying there for several months now. They said there are hardly any customers.
Previously in 2010 and 2011, it was difficult for us to meet basic demand of our clients. There were a lot of construction going on and loans were easily available, but now, since August last year, we hardly get any customer. The timbers we have bought from NRDCL are still lying unsold here. It has been over 5 months since our business has declined.
This year, there had been very few customers buying timbers. Until last year, we used to get endless orders from our customers. But now, I visit every construction sites and ask them if they need timbers.
According to the sawmill owners, it is because construction of houses has declined with a halt in the housing loan. They said if the situation does not improve, they will have to shut down their sawmills. Meanwhile, despite the fall in the business, the NRDCL, which is responsible for allotting timbers to the sawmills, still continues its monthly timber allotments. Compiled for Ishkelsen, Zongda for BBS News. A lake in Bumdiling under Tashiongsi has been restored to mark the World Wetland Day celebration on 2nd February. The lake is used as a stopover by the migratory birds and also the resident birds of the area. The lake was drained out in 2009 for the construction of farm road.
Observation of Wetland Day on February 2nd marks the date of signing of Ramsar Convention. The convention undertakes action aimed at conservation of wetlands around the world. Bhutan joined the Ramsar Convention on 7th September 2012. Bumdiling in Tashiongsi and Kotaka in Wongdi now bear flags as wetlands of international importance. Both sites are important winter habitats for endangered black-necked cranes. The day was first observed in Bhutan in 2012. This year, the World Wildlife Fund collaborated with the Watershed Management Division and Bumdiling Wildlife Sanctuary to observe the Wetland Day in Bumdiling. The theme for the year was Wetland Saves Water. The occasion was marked by restoring a lake locally known as Tungso.
Basically, it used to be a lake in the past, and it slowly has become a marsh. And if you wait a bit longer, it would become a forest, and then it loses its function as a wetland. And in order to keep it as a wetland, they build a small dam.
The Chief Forest Officer of Bumdiling Wildlife Sanctuary, Panketugpa, acknowledged WWF's support in restoring the lake. He said observing such a day gives opportunity for the park officials to work better with the community.
Restoring of Dungso or Dungkatso not only brings the migratory birds and also resident birds to flock in the area, but also restores nature with rich forest cover and biodiversity like in the past. We work towards maintaining the area with good management plans so that we can conserve nature for the future times.
Bumdiling is also known as one of the roosting grounds for migratory wild ducks such as mallard and reddy-shell. Pemasuki for BBS News.
Drakso special athletes bagged 16 medals in the state-level championship held in Sikkim, India last month. 4 students from Drakso Vocational Center for Special Children and Youth took part in the 3D state-level championship held in Pelling under West Sikkim.
The students took part in 200-meter race, 50-meter race, shot put, badminton, bocce and 5-a-side football. Of the total of 16 medals, 8 were gold, 5 silvers and 3 bronze medals. It was organized to promote sports for children and youth with disabilities through equal opportunities. It is also to provide a platform to showcase their abilities. The Deputy Director of the Drugstore Vocational Center said the kind of performance showed by the students indicate that if given an opportunity, they can perform.
And then what I feel is like, if given them the equal opportunity through right to education, or maybe equal opportunity in sports, or if given them the correct vocational training or anything, so it's not that they cannot do, they can do. And now, last year also we have won gold medal in this, which was held in Greece in at the Special Olympics, and this time also we won 16 medals. So that actually shows that they can do. And through sports is one medium where, you know, children and youth with disabilities can actually showcase their abilities. So I think we should not focus on what they cannot do, but we should focus on their strengths, their needs, and what they can do.
Including Bhutanese participants, a total of over 90 athletes with special needs took part in the championship. The championship was organized by the Special Olympic Bharat Sikkim chapter. Pema Suki for BBS News.
That's all we have for you. Join us again next Saturday as we bring you a selection of some of our best reports from the week. Thanks for watching.